Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with, oh man, Brady Heistand, Bam Bam. Happy, happy to have you here. This guy, if you don't know him, TUF season 29 finalist, one of the closest fights we've seen in a finale in really a long time, coming off an ACL injury, finally returning to the octagon. Thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Ready to chop
Well,
it up.
Yeah. Well, first things first, you got a fight coming up November 19th, if is that correct? I've heard from some sources.
Yeah, they just released it yesterday. I'm fighting
Yeah.
Fernie Garcia November 19th at the Apex. Pretty
Uh,
excited.
yeah. So staying at bantamweight, is that where you think you'll be rest of the career? I'm just
You know,
curious, weight
you
class
know,
wise.
I'm pretty young, and I think I'm pretty big for 135. Like I'm at the limit. Like I feel like I fit the weight class right now. I'm just worried, when I get into 27, 28, all the way up to 30, I might put on a few more pounds and have to
Yeah.
move up to 45. But yeah, definitely for the near future, the next few years, I'm climbing the bantamweight division for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, curious, what are your thoughts on Fernie Garcia, if any? What do you know about him? He's a DWCS alum. Uh,
Yeah, so he seems like a game opponent. Look with it. He seems really comfortable on the field. And he has has a lot of submission wins on the regional circuit.
yeah.
So he seems like a good, well-rounded fighter. And I'm excited to fight him. I don't know. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah.
I know he fought Jeremy Newson his last fight, and it didn't seem like his best performance. So I'm just expecting another level to him this time. He's
Yeah.
trying to get that back.
So kind of going back, I kind of want to talk about the whole TUF run, if that's all right. That was a
Yeah.
really exciting season, obviously super entertaining, but there's so many things that happened that season that I think we should talk about. It was obviously the return, but what was it like working with Volkanovski? That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, Volk's the man, honestly. Like I mentioned this a lot. It's like working with him, it was super awesome. And it wasn't even because it was such a short amount of time. The techniques weren't even the main thing I think I got out of working with Volk. It was just being around him and seeing how him and his team function. It was pretty cool. He like puts in the work. He always and he's always about his boys. He's always ready to help the guys. And so that was really cool to see. A
Yeah.
lot of people think to get to the highest level in this sport, you got to be selfish, which you do in a sense, but a lot of it's, being about your team and having people behind you. So that was a big eye opener for me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of teams, obviously you fought Ricky Turcios in that finale, who was
Yeah.
a teammate. What was that experience like? Did it feel like he was like actually a teammate? Because I know not really a teammate, but in terms of the season on The Ultimate Fighter, he is your teammate. Did it make it difficult, or it was just another fight?
No one likes to fight their buddy or anything like that, but it was a season of me fighting my teammates. My first fight was against Josh Reddinghouse, and we're actually from the same town. And so the first time I trained with Josh, I was like, I think 16, 17. And so I think in a sense that was more of a hurdle, like fighting Josh. He was on Ortega's team. He was more my teammate than even Ricky because I've known him for years. And so I
Yeah.
think that was a bigger hurdle. So once it got to Ricky, I was like, oh, this is easier. I'm used to
Yeah.
this. I'm used to
Um,
trying to beat up my buddies.
well, on that whole show, I mean, I feel like the details on your injury are a bit blurry, but how long were you injured? Was it that entire season? Was it like for the finale? What was that like?
Yeah, so I posted it on my Instagram, but I didn't explain it super well. So the first week before I even fought Josh, I was grappling with one of the assistant coaches of Volk. He was this other 21-year-old bantamweight. With his name was Colby Thickness, and Colby's awesome. He's a cool guy, really good at jujitsu, and so we were both grappling. We were just flowing, and he went to like sweep me, and my foot got planted in the mat weird, and it was just a freak accident, and I rolled through, and I tore it right then. So it was like literally like the one of the first practices being on the show, I tore it. And immediately I was like, what's up with my knee? And it was as bad as it was going into the Ricky fight as it was the whole season. And so that's what makes me think I completely tore it then. I wasn't sure what it was. Because I've never had a knee injury or pretty much any injury. So I was like, oh, this is weird. And so when I got the results back, I was like, yeah, I'm like, damn, that's why I was like slipping all the time in
Yeah.
practice and in my fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I definitely noticed watching the finale, especially every time it seemed like you took a step in that like third round, it looked like it really like every couple steps it kind of like it didn't look right on the knee.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, and the
uh
hard part was it was my right leg. And
yeah.
like, since I'm Orthodox, I fight with my left foot forward. I always like push off my right leg. And, if I kick with my left leg, I have to step on my right leg. And so a lot of my stand-up game was limited because I couldn't really explode off my right leg. So that's why I was pushing the grappling way
Yeah.
more than I even used to do.
Well, could you talk about some of those grappling exchanges? You showed to be the dominant grappler. That fight was one of those that's more of a toss-up. Going into that one, it seemed like that was a big part of the game plan. But especially going into this next one too, I know you can't give away the game plan, but do you feel like you're more of a grappler compared to everyone else in this division, more of a high-level grappler than a striker? You showed your striking's high level, but with a knee injury, you showed that you can really persevere on the ground. The grappling was just, I mean, could you talk to some of the grappling exchanges in that one, what it was like?
Yeah. So I think the main, I've never had an issue grappling in any of my fights at 135. Like, I've never ran into someone that can out grapple me. And, I've had like good competitive stand. I've never been like super beat, but, like grappling, I feel like is one thing that I've never had an issue with.
Mhm.
So I think it's, I feel like my grappling is definitely another level, but I'm excited to show how good my striking really is with, two good legs and how much it's
Yeah.
progressed even from the.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess after the show, it's been like what, a year plus. What's the layoff been like? What's the time off been like with the surgery? How's the recovery been?
So the recovery's been really good. Sorry.
Okay.
Recovery's been really good. Yeah, I've been working with the PI a lot. And at home I'm doing all my exercise. I'm training still two, 3 times a day.
Mm,
Kind of like this is my whole life. So this is what I do every day, all the time. So it's been building up the strength in my knee, since I got out of surgery, and I feel like the recovery's going good. And
yeah.
honestly, I've never really lifted weights specifically for my legs. And you saw I feel like people see on the show, like I have really skinny legs, and so finally I've like started focusing on my legs, and I feel like that's improved my game even then because I'm more explosive. I got stronger legs now, and I think it's going to help with my striking.
Yeah. Well, I guess just to go back, speaking of just this game being your life, right? You're a volunteer firefighter, right? What is
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously thank you for your service there. That's just amazing. But
Hey, brother.
what's up with you tough guys? What's up with you with Stipe being badasses but also being firefighters? Like it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, I was actually a resident firefighter before I got on the show, so I lived at the fire station full time, and it was like a way for me to save money because I only had to work 5 24-hour shifts a month.
Mm,
So I could live for free and then, train full time. And it was really cool because I could give back. But, back to what you're saying about like firefighters being tough, I think it's that alpha male mentality in the fire station,
yeah.
and it's such an active job. You got to go in and you got to pull people out of buildings. You got to lift heavy hoses. You got to walk around with like 50, 60 pounds on your back. And so I think just the mentality, it's a lot like a wrestling room or a Muay Thai gym or an MMA gym where people, you got to be like in shape, you got to be tough, and you got to be ready to go,
How does
ready to
that
perform when the time comes.
Yeah. How does it affect your recovery process? I mean, like you're talking about pulling people out of buildings, all these physically demanding things. Does that really affect the recovery or not really?
You mean like when I'm like not training and if I go and work at the station?
Yeah, yeah, like or even you're just on off days or whatever with not training, like how your body's repairing after every
So
hard
so
session.
after I got out of the tough house, I actually moved out of the fire station. I
Oh,
bought a house. And
oh,
so I'm living there now. And so the cool part about that is, as a volunteer firefighter, I only have to work 1 24-hour shift a
mm,
month. And so my hours are cut way down. So I can
yeah,
I can work as little as I want or as much as I want. And
yeah,
so when it comes to like a fight camp, I cut my hours way down. And
yeah,
so I can focus more on recovery, but I can still get my training in.
yeah. Well, I guess kind of
Yeah,
going
because
back.
if I was going to be a fire, because if I was going to do firefighting, every time I had an off day, I would be pretty tired all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess kind of continuing with the fighting, or going back to the fight talk. What are your thoughts on like the bantamweight division, like kind of the elite of the division? Where do you see yourself stacking up with the guys that are at the top right now? And what's like your rough plan? Like how many years you think till you're up there fighting the Peter Yans, the Aljos? Where do you see yourself stacking up with those guys?
I think the 35-pound division's, the best in the UFC. Like for how athletic all these guys are and how good all these guys are technically, cardio, explosiveness, just agility. We can move way better, and I think it's the most exciting division too. And I think I stack really well against the guys in the top 10, top 5. I feel like I got all the skills, I got the power, I got the explosiveness. I don't get tired in my fights. I think I have everything it takes to be in those top 5. And so like I always think in like 5-year increments, like 5 years ahead, and I always set goals for like 5 years from now. And like when I was 19 and I first moved into the fire station, I had a goal to get in the UFC and buy a house, and it took me 3 years. And so my 5-year goal now is to become champion. And so in the next 5 years, even 3 years, I see myself being champion. Things happen at their own pace, but
Mhm.
definitely going to be there in the next 5 years.
Yeah. Um, well, could you talk to me about just anyone from that? So you're training at what, Ski Jitsu, right?
Stick jitsu, yeah.
Or yeah, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Uh
No.
all right, I get it. I'm an idiot. Let me know down in the comments below. But while you're getting ready to go down in the comments section and call me an idiot and ask me if I understand and can read English, real quick, please consider hitting that subscribe and like button because it really does help me out. And as this channel grows, I can continue to get big names like Brady on the channel and have fun conversations with him. So yeah, thank you. Could you just talk about what some of the people that you got to work with there have like meant to your I don't know, your evolution as a fighter? And like what people like Juliana Pena have done for you. You got to go back to with her when she was coaching TUF, help out on the show. What has those experiences been like?
Yeah, I mean, the cool part about stick jitsu is like we got a small gym, but we're such a tight knit crew, and so like we got a lot of big names. Like we got Mike Chiesa, Juliana Pena, we had Sam Cecilia, Oscar Arnett, all these guys. But it's just such a small gym, so it's not diluted. We get all our time with each other, and even though like Mike, in a different division, he's a lot bigger than me, and Juliana is like, obviously a woman, and we can still get good training, and
Mhm.
them as mentors has been huge. Like she lives in Chicago now, but we have the same coach. So like I'll go down there for like a month at a time, and I just stay in one of her extra bedrooms and we just train out of her gym. And so just having those guys as a mentor is huge because I know they got my back, and we're on this grind together.
Yeah. Um,
And then Mike obviously, and they all obviously like went through the whole Ultimate Fighter process. They made it to the finale and won. So it was kind of like they knew what to expect, and they kind of gave me a few tips and tricks to look out for.
yeah. Uh, anyone I guess that's kind of on the come up from that gym though that we should look out for?
Oh, for sure. So we got a few guys. We got Melissa Amaya. She's fighting in Combate right now. She's under contract with them. She's undefeated. She's a killer. I think she's 3-0 as a pro now. And she's a beast, and she's gonna be in the UFC here soon. And then also Ashton Charlton. He actually has a fight this month, November 16th or September 16th. And he's got hands for days. He's a heavy hitter, good grappling. So
Yeah.
he fights at 170, she fights at 115. But yeah, those are the big names coming out of the gym right
Yeah.
now. We also got a few guys like Alvin, my roommate Bryce, he trains there, and a few other guys that are coming up.
Yeah.
We got people cycling through, and like I said, we got a smaller gym, but we're all putting in that work, and we'll all be at the top here soon.
Yeah. Um, well, what was, or I guess I was kind of curious, what's your like typical like diet like in camp and then also out of camp, and what's like a rough like daily routine for you? You said you're training 2 to 3 times a day with the recovery
Yeah, so
process. Like, what's all that like?
yeah, let's talk about outside of camp diet first, so we can leave on a good note. So I guess outside of camp, I love food. I'm like a fat kid at heart, so I like fried chicken. I like pizza. I like all that stuff. And so, especially right after a fight, I like to eat and I like to eat good food. I'm not a big drinker, so I don't like drink alcohol or, party or do drugs or anything. But, I love ice cream. I love chocolate. I love all that stuff. Um, but in camp, let's go to a good side. In camp, I eat really well. My mom's a dietitian. She's a nurse practitioner, but she also does diet stuff on the side. And so I look to her a lot when I'm getting ready for my fights, and she kind of helps me, eat good whole foods.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people go vegan and don't eat meat, but I eat meat, at least once every meal, and I just eat clean whole foods for the most part.
Yeah. Well, you just angered a ton of vegans out there, apparently, saying you eat meat.
Yeah, yeah, I
What
know. Sorry, guys. I love chicken, beef, all that stuff.
what's your what about like the daily routine, like training wise? You said you started lifting more too, hitting leg day
Yes,
now.
yeah. So after the finale, I never had like a program for lifting weights. I would just run and do a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, all that stuff, and
Mhm.
I would just do it until I thought I did enough. But after the fight, I linked up with the PI, and they do like a strength conditioning program, and so they have all these lifts and air bike workouts and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
me and then my trainer back home, Dylan Lemery, we do that 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then like I'm gonna go do one today, and
Mm.
then I go and do jujitsu Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday in the morning, and I usually run on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then I will hit mitts Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then every night I do a little bit of MMA Monday
Yeah.
through Friday, and then sprinkle it on the weekends. So I'm usually getting like 2, 3 practices a day, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But
Do you
I
have
try
like a
to get
set
an
spar?
MMA
Oh,
week.
sorry.
No, go for it.
Oh no, I was curious. Do you have like set sparring days of the week? Like I don't know, like set days where you're just gonna spar for one session, that later MMA session.
No, it all depends on what my coach wants us to
Mhm.
do. Because like at night, I go and work with my coach Rick Little, and he just kind of makes the plan for whatever we're gonna do, whether it be grappling. There's always some live rounds at the
Yeah.
end, whether it be with grappling, wrestling, or striking.
Mhm.
But it's all depending on what he wants to work on that day.
Yeah.
And usually, when it's guy has a fight coming up, all the practices start going geared towards that guy, and so you start working with what your game plan is, what you want to do in your fight, and so he kind of simulates the practice around you, which I think attributes to our success.
Yeah.
It's because it's so geared towards the fighter and his fight game.
Yeah, kind of like that hybrid, what a lot of boxers do, mixed with a lot of MMA fighters do. So your next fight's at the Apex, you just said, or you said earlier. How different, or have you fought, like, what's the biggest crowd you fought in front of? And did you want this fight to be in front of a crowd? Uh, yeah.
I don't really care. I've actually the biggest crowd I've fought in front is my hometown, which is like like a couple, like 1,000 or something like that.
Mhm.
Or I actually did one in in Canada one time, which was like 3,000. But I got an Ultimate Fighter during COVID, and so all my fights for the Ultimate Fighter were in the Apex. My finale fight was in the Apex. So I haven't done any fight for the UFC outside the Apex. So it's
Yeah.
going to be kind of like home again.
Yeah.
You know, kind of know the routine. I know every day we train in the Apex, so I kind of know the whole layout of the building. So I think it'll be it's going to be kind of I'm going to be used to it, which
Yeah.
which I like. But I am looking forward to one day fighting in front of a crowd.
Mhm. Um,
I
do
want
you
to feel
like
that
that?
energy.
Oh yeah. Do you like that? Well, they're starting to bring some fans in, so a little bit of energy. But
Yeah,
do you like the like I guess the intimacy of the Apex? We hear a lot about that, right? Like it's just so quiet. Is that like a
yeah.
part of it that makes it better, or is it just kind of, you don't need to feed off the crowd, you don't need it to be loud.
I like it. Yeah, it's cool because I don't need to feed off the crowd, but I feel like you said, there's still a crowd there, and it's more
Mhm.
intimate because it's the people I know,
Yeah.
and it's cool. Like I remember getting ready for the Ricky fight, and I was like, I got in the cage and I was looking across the cage, and I look and Marab and Aljamain Sterling are sitting right in the crowd, and I made eye contact with Marab, and it was just like the coolest thing ever. I'm like, because that was my first time fighting for the UFC. Even though it was a tough finale, I feel like it was like my first
Yeah.
like actual fight for the UFC. And looking across the cage, see Marab, top 5, and he's now getting ready for being #1 contender, and then
Mhm.
Aljamain Sterling, who's the champ, and it was just It was a
Yeah.
surreal experience. But you don't experience that as much in like a big arena because there's so many faces, so many people.
Yeah. Well, I guess, did you see actually, I'm kind of curious. Did you see when the Aldo Marab fight at all, or do you watch a lot of fighting, I guess, in general?
Oh yeah, I watch it every weekend, and I
Yeah.
love that fight. I was worried. I wasn't sure how Marab was gonna do. I didn't doubt him at all, but I just knew Jose Aldo had great striking, and I wasn't sure, because he's got clipped by Marlon Moraes in the past. I wasn't sure how that was gonna fare, but he
Mhm.
played a perfect fight.
Yeah.
He went out there, he pressured, he shot in when he needed to shoot in, he landed good strikes when he needed to land good strikes, and he just kept the pressure on him and kind of made him wilt.
Yeah. Well, you said you watch it every weekend, so I'm kind of curious. What are you thinking for the Diaz Hamzat fight? Can we get a little
You
expert
know,
breakdown?
I like Diaz, but I just feel like Hamzat's style is not good for Nate for a 3 round fight,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Because I think Nate has because it's a 3 round fight, right?
I think it's a 5 round fight, main event.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Ooh, then I'm not sure. I think we'll see. I think the problem is Hamzat's so strong and so big. Diaz has fought 55 a bunch in the past. And so I feel like Hamzat's like barely 170 or so they're like out of different weight classes. And on top of that, Hamzat's really strong and Diaz isn't really strong in general. I don't, I feel like Hamzat takes the win. I'm
Mhm.
hoping not. I'm hoping, he gets tired and Nate comes back, but I don't see it faring super well for Nate.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to keep you for too long. Just one final question. How do you see yourself getting Fernie Garcia, getting the win over Fernie Garcia? Do you see yourself getting him out of there? What's your prediction? If you can give
You
one.
know, I'm always looking for the finish. I don't want to have boring fights, and I want to go out there and finish these guys, get in and get out, and get paid as quick as possible. So I'm looking to get him out of there. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to go and push the pressure and kind of make it a fight. And we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, certainly yeah, I'll end it here, but the ends to those rounds in that finale were insane. So we know your game. So thank you for joining us. What socials to shout out? I know it's not the biggest channel in the world, but just list some socials people can find you at.
Yeah, my Instagram's Brady_Bam Bam. My Twitter's Brady Heistand 1. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You can go follow me on those. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you so much for coming, and yeah, I can't wait to speak to you again sometime when I don't know, you're getting ready to fight Marab or Aljo, right?
Yeah, let's get it. I'm down. Just hit me up, brother.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Peace.